All right, let's dive into something that is just fascinating, a little secretive, and frankly, pretty wild. We're talking about the world of billionaire doomsday prepping. We've all seen the headlines, but what is really going on beneath the surface? Literally. So let's just get right to the heart of the mystery, shall we? The very people who seem to have won the game, who benefit the most from the world as it is, are spending absolute fortunes on secret fortified compounds. It really makes you wonder, why? Is it just extreme paranoia, smart planning, or do they know something the rest of us don't? Okay, first up, let's just get a sense of the scale of this whole thing. For the longest time, doomsday prepping was kind of a fringe idea, right? Well, not anymore. For the ultra-wealthy, it has gone completely mainstream. We are talking about some of the biggest names in the world making some very, very deep preparations. And when you look at who's doing this, you start to see a real pattern emerging. This isn't just one eccentric billionaire. We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg from Meta with these massive projects in both Hawaii and California. You've got Peter Thiel, a co-founder of PayPal, who famously got himself a New Zealand passport and land to escape to. Even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has a go bag ready with guns and gold. These are major, major players making very similar moves. Let's just zoom in on Zuckerberg's place for a second. His compound in Hawaii is enormous. We're talking 1,400 acres, and it's hidden behind a 6-foot wall. The plans show a 5,000 square foot underground shelter that is completely self-sufficient with its own power and food sources. Now, when asked about it, he called it just a little shelter. But the secrecy around it is extreme. Every single worker on site has to sign a strict non-disclosure agreement. That sounds like a bit more than your average storm cellar. So, what's the simplest explanation for all this digging? Well, it might just be that survival has become the ultimate luxury good, the hottest new status symbol for the super rich. I mean, this quote from LinkedIn's co-founder Reid Hoffman, it just says it all, doesn't it? He calls it apocalypse insurance and figures about half of all Silicon Valley billionaires have some form of it. It's become a kind of code, an open secret that they're all preparing an escape plan. And when we say insurance, we are not talking about a small premium. According to Safis, a leading company that builds these fortified shelters, a single high-end custom bunker project can easily top $100 million. That's a whole other level of home security. And just so we're clear, we are not talking about damp concrete boxes filled with canned beans. No, no. These are basically subterranean palaces. They have swimming pools, bowling alleys, even art storage rooms. Some have medical centers that could rival a small hospital. And then you get the James Bond-style gadgets. Secret rotating fireplaces, biometric entry, even water cannons to shoot down drones. Turns out, surviving the apocalypse can be a pretty lavish affair. But status and luxury, it just doesn't feel like that's the whole story. There seems to be a deeper, more specific fear driving all of this, especially among the tech leaders, a fear of something that they themselves are creating. To really get what they're afraid of, we have to talk about this term, AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence. Now, this is not the AI we use every day on our phones. This is the theoretical moment when a machine can think, reason, and plan better than any human being. The moment the creation becomes smarter than the creator. Okay, this next quote, it's genuinely chilling. It reportedly comes from Ilya Sutskever, a co-founder of OpenAI. This is the man who was the chief scientist behind ChatGPT, and he apparently told his colleagues that the top AI scientists needed an underground bunker before they could release AGI into the world. Just let that sink in. And this brings us to this really fascinating contradiction, what you could call the creator's paradox. Publicly, these tech leaders are painting this beautiful utopian picture for us. They say AI is going to cure diseases, end poverty, and basically give everyone their own R2-D2. But privately, their actions are telling a completely different story. It's a story of stockpiling guns and gold and digging bunkers to ride out what they themselves call irreparable chaos. But what if this isn't about reacting to a threat like AI at all? There are some sources that offer a much darker interpretation, viewing this whole bunker boom as part of a deliberate long-term agenda. So, according to this viewpoint, which you'll find in places like the Open Christian University blog, the global elite aren't just preparing for a catastrophe, they're engineering one. The theory is that they plan to kick off some kind of global crisis, whether it's a war, a pandemic, or an economic collapse, and then just retreat to their shelters while the rest of society crumbles. From this perspective, which is rooted in Christian end times theology, the actions of the elites are seen as actually fulfilling ancient prophecies. This Bible verse from the book of Luke is often brought up as a reminder for believers to place their faith in God for deliverance, not in earthly underground bunkers. So, if you follow this line of thought, survival isn't the final goal. The plan is to reemerge from the bunkers after the chaos to establish a brand new system of global control over whoever is left. And for some, this scenario aligns very closely with biblical prophecies about the end times. Okay, so we have the luxury status symbol theory, we have the fear of our own AI theory, and a very dark prophecy theory. But let's take a step back and look at all this with a more skeptical eye. How real is this AGI threat that's supposedly driving so much of this? Well, the timeline for its arrival is, to put it mildly, all over the map. The people who are building and funding this technology, like Sam Altman, they keep telling us it's right around the corner. But a lot of leading academic experts, people like Dame Wendy Hall, are way more skeptical. They say the tech is nowhere near human intelligence and that the goalposts just keep moving. And this really gets to the absolute heart of the debate. On one side, you've got the believers who see AGI as this imminent, almost godlike force that could destroy us all. But on the other side, you have skeptics who call the very concept absurd. One critic even said that all this talk is just a distraction and, maybe more importantly, great marketing. Because think about it, if you can convince investors you're building the most powerful thing in existence, the money is going to follow. Which brings us right back to our big question. Are these bunkers the result of some incredible foresight from people who can see a risk the rest of us can't? Or is this just the ultimate symptom of paranoia that comes with extreme wealth? Maybe, in the end, it's just the most exclusive, most expensive status symbol ever created. We don't have the answer for sure, but one thing is absolutely certain. They just keep digging.